Baker Street, Watson returns from his shopping spree, surprised to find Holmes awake at so early an hour. The Countess is offering £1,000 for the return of the Blue Carbuncle. It's in the newspapers. Inspector Bradstreet's in charge of the case. This arrested Mr. John Horner, a plumber aged 36, who protested his innocence in the strongest terms. Circumstantial evidence has been so strong that the case has been referred to the assizes. Horner, who shared signs of intense emotion during the proceedings, faded away at the conclusion and was carried from the court. "Oh, excuse me, you're engaged. I'm interrupting your study of that hat." No, that's just a perfectly trivial one," said Holmes. "But there are points in connection with it which are not devoid of interest, even of instruction." "I suppose as homely as it looks," said Watson, "that thing has some deadly story linked to it. That is the clue which will guide you in the solution of some mystery and the punishment of some crime." Holmes chuckled. No, it's just one of those whimsical little incidents that'll occur when you have 4 million people all jostling each other within the space of a few square miles. Watson looked at the hat. "So, what do you gather from that battered old felt?" "Well, you know my methods. What do you yourself gather as to the individuality of the man, the owner of this particular article? Oh, and it was accompanied by a goose, Watson, for Mrs. Henry Baker was printed upon a small car attached to the bird's left leg." Watson carefully examined the hat. "Well, apart from the initials inside, H.B., presumably Henry Baker, I can see nothing." "On the contrary, Watson, you can see everything, but you fail to reason for what you see. You're too timid in drawing your inferences." "Then pray, Holmes, tell me what it is that you can infer from that hat." "That the man is highly intellectual is of course obvious, and also that he was fairly well-to-do within the past 3 years, although now because of his fault he's fallen upon evil days. He had foresight, but less now than formerly, pointing to a moral retrogression, which when taken with a decline in his fortunes seems to indicate an evil influence. Probably drink. This may account also for the fact that his wife has ceased to love him." "My dear Holmes," Holmes continued, "he has, however, retained some degree of self-respect, although now he leads a sedentary life. He's out of training entirely, he's middle-aged, has grizzled hair, which he had cut within the last few days, and which he anoints with lime cream. It is also highly improbable that he has gas laid on in his house." Watson burst out laughing. "Well, now you're certainly joking." "Not in the least," said Holmes. "Well then, I'm very stupid. For example, how do you deduce that the man is intellectual? It's a question of cubic capacity. A man with so large a head must have something in it." "Well," replied Watson, "the decline in his fortunes, then?" "These flat brims with the curled edges came in 3 years ago. It is a hat of the very best quality, Watson. Look at the band of ribbed silk, and the excellent lining. If this man could afford so expensive a hat 3 years ago and has had no hat since, then he has assuredly gone down in the world." There was a pause, and then Watson asked, "What about the foresight and the moral retrogression?" "Ah, here's the foresight. These securers are never sold upon hats. If this man ordered one, it's a sign of a certain amount of foresight, since he went out of his way to take precaution against the wind. But as you can see, he's broken the elastic and has not troubled to replace it. A weakening nature. The further points that he's middle-aged, that his hair is grizzled, that he has had it cut recently, and that he anoints it with lime cream can all be gathered by an inspection of the lower part of the lining. Watson witnessed the moisture. Obviously a free perspirer. therefore not in the best of training. But his wife, Holmes, you said his wife had ceased loving him. This hat has not been brushed for weeks. When I see a man with a week's accumulation of dust upon his hat, and his wife has allowed him to go out in such a state, I fear he has been unfortunate enough to lose his wife's affections. He might be a bachelor, chimed in Watson. Nay, but he brought a goose, said Holmes, as a peace offering to his wife. Remember the card attached to the bird's neck. Watson sat back down. Yes, well, you have an answer to everything. Just a minute. How do you deduce that there is no gas laid on in his house? 1 tallow candle stain or even 2. But Watson, when I see no less than 5, he never got candle stains from a gas jet, Watson. Are you satisfied?